Hi everyone, welcome to Friday Farsight. This week we're going to talk about faster-than-light spacecraft. And also this week we're going to be traveling in space and time in another way, which is because this is the first episode which we've created with a new process. The goal of the new process is to make these episodes more efficient to create and hopefully help us stay on the air a little while. So a disclosure, this new process is also all driven by AI. So take all the content with a grain of salt. The original predictions themselves do come from AI as well. So they may be gesturally correct, but some details here and there could be something that slipped through the cracks of our editorial process. And with that, we can get into the show. Please let us know what you think. As you can tell, the intro is new and the voices may be slightly different. We have moved from a commercial platform for building these things to our own process. So yeah, just let us know if things are better or worse. I'm going to keep this intro short. I think maybe our new process is letting the show itself do a better job of the intros. So I'll just hand it over to Biff and Betty.
That's more like it.
What you got, Biff?
All right, let's see here. Warp drive, wormholes, faster than light. By the year 2180. Did I read that right, Betty?
You did, Biff, but hold on, because this week on Friday Farsight, we've got something we've never had before. 2 predictions, and they completely contradict each other.
Wait, what? How does that work? Strategic Farsight is telling us FTL spacecraft are coming, and also that they're impossible?
Exactly. One prediction says we might have a faster-than-light spacecraft by 2180, give or take 80 years. The other says, nope, FTL travel is fundamentally impossible. Not hard, not unlikely, impossible. The laws of physics forbid it.
So we're just supposed to, hold both of those in our heads at the same time? Is that what we're doing here?
We are. And actually, there's a really elegant reason why both predictions can live in the same database. It comes from a branch of math called subjective logic, and we'll get there. But first, let's start with the dream. Because, Biff, this is the big one. This is the prediction that every kid who ever stuck glow-in-the-dark stars on their ceiling has been waiting for.
Oh, totally. That was me. Plus Estes rockets, video games, and even board games like Starfleet Battles, flying starships made of little boxes of armor and impulse power on a sheet of paper. The idea that we could actually punch through the lightspeed barrier and go visit other star systems, that's not just a prediction. That's the founding myth of the space age. Every rocket launch is secretly promising it.
It really is. And here's the thing, Biff. It's not just science fiction. There are real physicists right now working on theoretical frameworks that could, in principle, make it happen. The most famous is the Alcubierre drive, proposed in 1994.
Alcubierre? Sounds like an Italian sports car I can't afford. The 2025 Alcubierre GT. 0 to light speed and...
It's named after Miguel Alcubierre, a Mexican-born physicist who published what might be the most tantalizing paper in modern physics. He showed that mathematically, you can achieve apparent faster-than-light travel without violating Einstein's relativity.
How? Einstein literally said nothing goes faster than light. That's like physics rule number 1.
Right. Nothing can move faster than light through space. Keyword, through. What if you're not moving through space at all? What if space itself is doing the moving?
Keep going.
The Alcubierre drive would contract space-time in front of the spacecraft, squeeze it together, and expand it behind, stretch it out. This creates what physicists call a warp bubble. The ship inside the bubble is technically stationary relative to the local space around it, but the bubble itself, carrying the ship, moves faster than light relative to the rest of the universe.
So it's like, okay, imagine you're an ant standing on a rubber sheet. You're not walking, you're just standing there. But somebody grabs the rubber in front of you and scrunches it up and stretches it out behind you, and suddenly you've crossed a huge distance without taking a single step. The sheet did the work.
That's a great way to picture it. You're writing a ripple in the fabric of space itself.
Okay, I love this. So why aren't we building one? What's the catch?
The catch is, Enormous. To create this warp bubble, you need something called exotic matter, matter with negative energy density. And that's not just rare, Biff. Nobody has ever observed exotic matter in nature at any useful scale. The closest thing we've seen is the Casimir effect, where quantum fluctuations between two very close metal plates produce a tiny, tiny negative energy, but we're talking about a whisper when you need a thunderclap.
Negative energy density. So like anti-gravity or something weirder?
Something weirder. It's matter with gravitational properties opposite to everything we've ever observed. It would repel rather than attract. And the energy requirements are, well, even the most optimistic version comes from Harold White, who worked at NASA's Johnson Center on what he called the Advanced Propulsion Physics Lab, specifically the Eagle Works Lab. He spent years trying to bring Alcubierre's math closer to reality. His best estimate? You'd need energy equivalent to the mass of Jupiter.
The mass of... Hold on. Jupiter is 318 times the mass of Earth. You're telling me we need to somehow convert all of that mass into energy, E equals mc squared style, to power one trip?
In the optimistic scenario, Alcubierre's original 1994 paper needed more energy than exists in the entire observable universe.
Honey, I'm going to need the entire observable universe for about 20 minutes.
White got it down to a finite number, at least, still impossibly large by any standard we have, but not literally infinite. So, progress?
I mean, going from all the energy in existence to just one Jupiter is technically a win, right? Okay, so the warp drive is option A. What else is in the physicist's toolbox?
Traversable wormholes. You know the concept from Interstellar.
Oh yeah, Kip Thorne, the Caltech physicist who consulted on the film. He actually got Christopher Nolan to make the black hole scientifically accurate, which, for Hollywood, is just... I mean, as someone who's written a few scripts myself, I can tell you getting a director to do anything is borderline miraculous, let alone getting them to obey differential equations.
Well, Thorne is persuasive, and his work shows that Einstein's equations do permit these structures called Einstein-Rosen bridges, tunnels through spacetime connecting distant points of the universe. In theory, you step in one end and emerge the other, across the galaxy, almost instantaneously.
That sounds even better than a warp drive. Skip the trip entirely. No bubble, no space-time surfing, no microwaved pasta dinners, just a door.
A door to the other side of the cosmos, yes. Except this door also requires exotic matter to stay propped open. Without it, the wormhole collapses in a fraction of a second. And I should mention, some people bring up quantum entanglement as another possible route to FTL, because entangled particles seem to influence each other instantaneously across any distance. But that's a red herring. Physicist Anton Zeilinger and others have shown conclusively that you can't use entanglement to transmit information faster than light. There's no signal, no message, just correlated randomness.
Correlated randomness. Sounds like my diet.
But the point is, both of the serious FTL concepts, the warp drive and the wormhole, need this exotic matter that, as far as anyone can tell, doesn't exist in any usable quantity. And there's an even deeper problem lurking behind both of them.
Deeper than needing a Jupiter's worth of impossible matter?
Deeper. Both the Alcubierre drive and traversable wormholes create what physicists call closed time-like curves.
Okay, I feel like I should know what that means, but pretend I'm a guy who writes screenplays, not physics papers.
A closed time-like curve is a path through space-time that loops back to its own starting point. In plain language, time travel. If you can go faster than light, you can, in principle, arrive at your destination before you left. And Biff, this isn't science fiction hand-waving. It's a mathematical consequence of Einstein's own equations. Physicist Matt Vister demonstrated that Alcubierre drives would inevitably produce these loops.
So we're not just talking about visiting Alpha Centauri. We're talking about breaking cause and effect. The arrow of time, the thing that makes the universe make any kind of sense at all.
Exactly. And Stephen Hawking thought this was such a threat that he proposed something called the chronology protection conjecture, the idea that the laws of physics themselves actively prevent these time loops from forming, like the universe has an immune system that attacks paradoxes before they can exist.
The universe has an immune system. I love that.
Reality itself saying, no, you absolutely do not get to go back in time to give the Bronte sisters social media, at least not until we have Wuthering Heights.
Something like that. And Biff, this is where the second prediction enters the picture. The one that says FTL isn't just difficult, it's impossible. And that prediction has a credibility score of 93%.
93%? Okay, that's pretty much the universe agreeing with itself.
The physics community is overwhelmingly on this side. Nobel laureate Frank Wilczek has called the idea of engineering our way around the structure of spacetime wishful thinking. Theoretical physicist Sabine Hossenfelder argues that FTL is ruled out by both special and general relativity. And Sean Carroll, who's probably the best science communicator in physics right now, put it this way: some barriers aren't meant to be overcome. They're features of reality.
Features of reality. I want to put that on a t-shirt and also burn it. Because, Betty, I have to push back. History. Lord Kelvin, one of the most brilliant physicists of the 19th century, declared in 1895 that heavier-than-air flying machines were impossible. 8 years later, 2 bicycle mechanics from Dayton, Ohio are at Kitty Hawk. Ernest Rutherford, the father of nuclear physics himself, called atomic energy moonshine in 1933. 9 years later, Enrico Fermi has a working reactor underneath the football bleachers at the University of Chicago.
And that's a fair argument. It's one the optimistic prediction makes too. The history of impossible is humbling. But here's the distinction that matters, Biff, and this is really the crux of the whole debate. Those were engineering impossibilities. The underlying physics always permitted heavier-than-air flight. Birds were doing it every day. The physics always permitted nuclear energy. Radioactive decay was already known and measured. What was missing in both cases was the engineering, the know-how. FTL is categorically different. The speed of light isn't a technology gap. It's woven into the geometric structure of spacetime. Saying someone will eventually travel faster than light is like saying someone will eventually build a triangle with angles adding up to 200 degrees. It's not about having a better protractor. The geometry won't allow it.
That hit different, actually. The triangle thing. You're saying it's not a wall we haven't learned to climb yet, it's the shape of the room we're in. You can't climb through a ceiling.
That's what the 93% credibility is expressing, yes. But, and I really want to stress this, it's not 100%. The prediction carries 25% uncertainty. Because here's the thing, we don't have a complete theory of physics. We have general relativity, which beautifully describes gravity and the large-scale universe. And we have quantum mechanics, which beautifully describes the subatomic world. And these two beautiful theories are fundamentally incompatible with each other. They break down precisely where they should meet, at the smallest scales, the highest energies. A unified theory of quantum gravity, if one ever arrives, could rewrite the rules.
So the loophole, if there is one, would come from physics we literally haven't invented yet. Science we can't imagine from where we're standing.
Exactly, which is why both predictions can coexist. And this brings us to how Strategic Farsight handles contradictions like this.
Right, the binomial opinion thing. How does the database keep two opposing predictions without, short-circuiting?
So the system uses subjective logic. For every prediction, an independent AI model from a separate company entirely reads the full text of the prediction and calculates 3 values: belief, disbelief, and uncertainty. These always sum to 1. Think of them as 3 slices of a pie representing our total state of knowledge.
Okay, so it's not just true or false. There's a third category we genuinely don't know enough to say.
Exactly. And from those three numbers, the system derives two user-facing scores, credibility and knowability. Credibility answers, of the claims we can evaluate, how many hold up. Knowability answers, how much of this topic can we even evaluate with current evidence.
Give me the numbers side by side. I want to feel the contrast.
The optimistic prediction, FTL by 2180, has 7% belief, 66% disbelief, 27% uncertainty. That's 10% credibility in a domain that's 73% knowable. The pessimistic prediction, FTL is impossible, has 70% belief, 5% disbelief, and 25% uncertainty. That's 93% credibility in a domain that's 75% knowable.
So the system is saying we're very confident this is impossible, but about a quarter of the question is beyond what we can currently evaluate. And in that shadow, there's room for a surprise.
That's a beautiful way to put it, Biff. And the reason both predictions stay in the database is that the future isn't a single railroad track. Futurists talk about a futures cone, a fan of possibilities spreading out from the present, from probable to plausible to possible to merely conceivable. An academic futurist might filter for high credibility predictions and work with probable scenarios, but a science fiction author or a venture capitalist hunting moonshots might specifically want the long shots, the 10% credible outliers, because those are the ones that would remake the world if they came true.
Because, yeah, the interesting predictions are always the ones that could change everything. Nobody makes a movie about the future where everything stays the same. It's not a contradiction in the database. It's the database honestly reflecting the fact that the future, by definition, contains scenarios that contradict each other.
Precisely. And the two predictions were also made at different times when the site employed different levels of rigor in deciding whether a prediction is feasible at all. Rather than delete the older, more speculative one, the system keeps both and lets the confidence scores do the sorting.
That's pretty mature for a prediction system. Most people just want one answer. Is it going to happen or not? And this is saying, look, here's how confident we are in each direction. You decide what to do with that.
Right.
Okay, so let's go there. Let's live in the 10% world for a minute. It's 2180. Somebody figures it out. Humanity launches its first faster-than-light spacecraft. What does civilization look like?
Well, for starters, interstellar colonization becomes practical for the first time in history. We go from being marooned in one solar system to having the entire Milky Way open up. And the Milky Way alone has roughly 100 billion stars, many with planetary systems. We'd be talking about a fundamentally different kind of civilization. Not planetary, not solar, galactic.
And the Fermi paradox gets an answer. The famous question, where is everybody? If the universe is so old and so vast, why haven't we heard from anyone? Well, maybe the answer has been staring us in the face. Nobody has FTL. Every civilization that ever evolved is stuck in its own little stellar neighborhood, looking up at the same night sky, unable to cross the distances. But the moment someone cracks FTL, the galaxy wakes up.
That's one of the most profound implications. FTL could answer one of the deepest questions in all of science. Are we alone?
But here's what keeps me up at night, Betty. You told me FTL means time travel, mathematically, inescapably. So we're not just opening the galaxy, we're opening, I don't even know how to describe it, a Pandora's box that makes every other Pandora's box look like a Barbie lunchbox. Cause and effect, the arrow of time, the entire logical structure of reality, it all goes up for grabs.
And it gets worse. Consider the energy scales. Any FTL technology would involve energies comparable to stellar masses. If you can manipulate spacetime to build a warp bubble, you can, in theory, aim one at a planet. Contract the space in front of a world, expand it behind, and the tidal forces alone would tear the planet apart. We'd be talking about a weapon that makes thermonuclear bombs look like, well...
like a book of matches, yeah. FTL technology is also potentially the most devastating weapon ever conceived. And nobody is writing those arms control treaties yet.
If we ever approach this technology, those treaties would need to be the very first order of business.
Okay, Heavy, heavy stuff. Let's flip it. What if the 93% prediction is the one that holds? What if FTL really is impossible, now and forever, for us and for every civilization that will ever exist? What does that mean?
It means we have to make peace with something that's genuinely difficult to accept. We live in a universe that's staggeringly vast, staggeringly beautiful, and almost all of it is permanently beyond our reach. We can photograph galaxies 13 billion light-years away, catalog their stars, even detect the chemical compositions of exoplanet atmospheres, and we will never, ever set foot on those worlds.
It's like being locked inside a cathedral. You can see the light streaming through the stained glass, the vaulted arches soaring up into, I don't know, infinity, and the doors are sealed shut. You can spend your whole life inside this one room, and it's magnificent, but you know there's an entire city outside that you'll never walk through.
That's really something, Biff.
Sometimes you gotta level up. This is art we're making here, Betty.
I'd like to think so. And look, maybe the impossibility of FTL reframes the question rather than ending it. Even without FTL, near light speed travel is theoretically possible. It would take years, decades, maybe centuries to reach other stars, but it could be done. Generation ships, cryonic hibernation, relativistic probes carrying human embryos, or, digitized minds.
Sure, but that's a fundamentally different future. That's not the Enterprise boldly going. That's more like a message in a bottle, tossed into an ocean so big you'll never see the other shore. And you just hope somebody someday picks it up.
True, but here's what the optimistic prediction says, and I think it applies no matter which future we end up in. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, but they also inspire extraordinary efforts. Even if FTL turns out to be forever impossible, the pursuit of it, the theoretical physics, the materials science, the energy research, all of that will drive discoveries we can't currently imagine. Fusion power, exotic materials, new mathematics. The byproducts of the quest could transform life on Earth, even if we never leave the solar system.
So the quest is worth it even if we never reach the destination.
In science, the journey almost always is the destination.
Huh. That's actually a kind of beautiful way to think about it. We keep reaching for the stars, and maybe the universe says, not possible. But the reaching itself makes us smarter, bolder, more inventive. Maybe that's what the 10% prediction is really about. Not a promise that we'll build a warp drive, but the idea that the dream itself is a kind of engine. It moves us forward even when the destination is out of reach.
Well said, Biff.
Don't look so shocked.
I'm not, I promise. And on that note, that's our time for this week. Thank you so much to everyone listening. This has been Friday Farsight, your weekly deep dive into the predictions shaping tomorrow.
And if you want to read the full articles on both predictions, the Dreamer's case and the Realist's case, head over to the Strategic Farsight website. Explore the timeline, filter by credibility, play with the futures cone, build your own scenarios. It's, dangerously addictive. Fair warning.
It really is. We'll see you next week, everyone. Until then,
Keep looking up, even if the universe says no trespassing.
bye, everyone.